Welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Lens with your host, Jake and Scott. In this week's episode, we are back down in downtown Louisville, Kentucky, two weeks in a row, and we have ventured to Nulu this time to go to the brand new Whiskey Thief Distilling Company, and we are joined by Walter Zausch, owner of the brand. So sit back and buckle in to the latest episode of the Bourbon Lens. First of all, happy birthday.
Hey, thank you.
We really appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us here on a Friday and enjoying your birthday with a little cocktail, a little bit of a neat pour, and talking everything Whiskey Thief. So thanks for joining us.
Seems like a great way to spend a birthday.
I mean, I couldn't agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I just really enjoy that. I said I couldn't agree. I can't agree, actually.
You can't agree.
I couldn't agree
more.
I couldn't agree more. I forgot a word. It's early. Don't worry.
English is hard.
It is. It's always hard for me. I did, we've joked around, I went to manual, but that doesn't mean I was the best student at manual. But I got in, and I did well later. 2 degrees, all that fun stuff. But, Walter, we're here to talk about you, not about my high school days here in Louisville, Kentucky. So, for those who don't know about Whiskey Thief Distilling Company, can you tell us a little bit about the heritage of the brand?
Sure, and if they don't know about Whiskey Thief, they probably aren't alone in that capacity. We're much better known outside of Kentucky, it seems like, than inside of Kentucky. But in any case, it's a 12-year-old craft distillery. We can make about 1,000 barrels a year. We make all of our whiskeys out at in our farm, which is on our 127 acres out in Franklin County, and on a 650-gallon Vendome pot still. Everything we do is single barrel, and so we're constantly changing up mash bills and yeasts and trying different things and different fermentations, etc., to make unique, differentiated barrels and products, and it's awesome. And if you're in town in Kentucky, you should come see both of our locations. I know we're talking about Nulu today, but both locations allow for walk-ins. So so many times we hear people plan trips to the Bourbon Trail, or hey, they're living in St. Louis or somewhere, and they're like, hey, let's get in the car and drive to Kentucky. And they get here and they realize that there's not a lot of availability at some of the distilleries they wanted to visit. So we reserve specifically part of our availability, our capacity for those walk-in guests, which is awesome. I know if I was planning a vacation, that's probably how I would do it.
Yeah.
My wife would know 3 years in advance where we were going and all that sort of thing, but not me.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of who we are. Everything is very handcrafted, and then we present the barrels. So when I had first gotten in the business, I've been the owner for the last 4 years. I've been in the industry for about 9. And when I first started out doing this thing, I got invited to do a barrel pick with Al Young at Four Roses.
Well, let's just stop there for a second. He just name dropped Al Young like,
yes,
that's no big deal.
So it was like Disneyland. I mean,
it was a huge big deal.
And Mickey Mouse was there, and it was great.
Yeah.
And Al Young was just an awesome guy. I got to know him later than that, but anyway, so that was the first kind of experience. And you go in, and the barrels are there, and there's thieves, and you can taste out of the barrel, and that was amazing. And so I was like, wow, that's the single coolest way to experience bourbon.
Yeah.
And as you guys have all done that, and a lot of your listeners probably have done that, but they also know that experience is typically reserved for not mere mortals. Usually it's just reserved for industry, retailers, wholesalers, whoever it is. And so, when I started, so Whiskey Thief formerly went through a name change period of Three Boys Farm Distillery, but it was originally Whiskey Thief. We kind of brought that back, and I was storing barrels and doing bottling and all that kind of stuff before I was the owner. Oh, and so Ross, who's the former owner, if you caught him on the right day and the right time and everything, would let you taste samples out of the barrels. And so I said, after the experience that I had had at that Four Roses barrel pick, and then seeing kind of that he was sort of doing it, we 4 years ago we refined the process and really, I said, hey, our goal is to democratize the barrel pick, and so make that available for every guest. And so even though we've been thieving out a barrel for the longest in Kentucky, really the original place to do that, 12 years, you've been able to do that at Whiskey Thief or Three Boys. Now you come, we got 5 barrels, and we do that here in this location. So we extended that experience to this location as well, the one we're sitting in, and we had 5 barrels. Typically, it's a wheat, 3 rye bourbons, and then a rye whiskey. Yeah. And sometimes we have 4 bourbons. We don't have the wheat, but right now we have wheat. And but we always end with the rye whiskey, and that's the experience. And so we kind of curate that flight. But as I was telling you guys before, barrels are always changing. So even though we kind of curate the flight, so we kind of create that experience, they're always changing. And so you end up going, oh, well, barrel 1's really good, or barrel 4 has changed, and now it's really good. So we use a Whiskey Thief, pull a taste out of the barrel and into a glass, let people taste the whiskey uncut and unfiltered at the proof that it is, that nature intended it to be, which is sometimes is 120 and north of 120.
Like this one we have in our hands, 133.6.
This one's crazy. This is the most hazmat-y one I think we've ever had. So, yeah, and then we do that, and then if you fall in love with any of the barrels, we'll let you use a Whiskey Thief and fill a bottle and label it up and take it home with you, and you kind of have one of a kind thing, because even if you come back in a week, that barrel, there's a good chance that barrel's not going to taste the way it did at the moment you fell in love with it. So, so that's kind of what we do. That's our shtick. That's hence, we use a Whiskey Thief, hence our name. And
well, I think it's so cool because like we have been in the bourbon industry for 6-7 years now, and like we've got to experience a lot of thieving from barrels, but we have to remember, not everybody gets that experience.
No.
So it's like, to have a consumer have the opportunity to do that for themselves is super unique. It's like,
absolutely,
we get that opportunity every few months or every whatever it is. We've picked our own barrels. We've picked 6 or 7 barrels now.
Yeah.
But it's like a consumer doesn't get that opportunity. No. So it's like, if you want that opportunity, if you want something unique and have an hour to spend in Louisville or in Frankfurt. You're in between stops in Frankfurt because there's tons of there's tons of places to stop. Swing into the Whiskey Thief.
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing that's really nice about it is like you get your own mini barrel pick, right? Yeah. That's pretty cool. Like everyone's always seeking after that funky off, profile thing, and because you all are doing pot still distillation, you're gonna already have funky whiskey, which is great. Like I love that. Like if you love any type of world whiskey, you love funkiness. And so that's what's fun about these. They're all got a little bit of funk. They're all going to be a little bit different. And it's not going to be anything that you find from any of the other stuff here on, Whiskey Row right down the way. That's all going to be large column distillation other than the Evan Williams experience stuff. So
exactly.
I think that's what's really cool about this is it's going to be unique whiskey here in the heart of Louisville.
Yep, 100%. And, the secret, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, you know what, I'm going to go start letting people thieve out of barrels. The trick is that, spirits are the second most highly regulated industry after pharmaceuticals. And so to do this in a compliant way is kind of a little bit of our IP. Like we've worked really, really hard, spent lots of dollars with lawyers and those sorts of people to make sure that we're capturing the tax appropriately and doing it in a compliant way, and that's the real trick. That's the real. It looks easy, but there's a whole behind the scenes part that to do it right is not, and that's why you see not a lot of brands doing it, frankly, because it's challenging from a compliance operationally and whatever, and it's also kind of expensive doing it that way. We're probably paying more taxes on it than we would if we were just bottling and selling to a distributor.
Yeah. Well, I think that's also really unique too, because like a lot of people have gone to the pour your own, and this is a completely different type of an experience, which I think is really cool because you can go to pick a distillery at this point and do a pour your own. I feel like Michter's was the first one to start it, but this is a whole different type of experience. Being able to put a thief in there, into your bottle, right? Like, excuse the sound effects.
Well, and that's part of that compliance thing. That pour your own is very precise. They have it measured. Operationally, it's dialed out. They know exactly what they're getting every time. We got people spilling and dripping and this and that. And who pays the tax on that? Well, we do.
Yeah.
And
Walter's going to pay taxes. Don't you worry.
Yes, no, that's death and taxes, especially in this industry. The tax part is not negotiable.
So, I feel like you started as one of us, right? You started as
I
someone just
totally-
enjoyed spirits.
I totally started as one of you. Yeah. So, long story short, I grew up in Henderson, Kentucky. I'm from Kentucky.
Did you go to Henderson County?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, Henderson County High School.
Used to be the biggest high school in the state of Kentucky for those who listen.
HCHS fight, and and then I went to UK to architecture school.
Nice.
Then we ended up moving to California around about 2000. And I remember when we first got to California, finding even Maker's Mark in distribution was impossible. And so our friends would say, we'd be coming home for Christmas or something, and they'd say, hey, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but could you bring me a bottle of, I know this is really weird, but could you bring me a bottle of Woodford Reserve? And I was like, yeah, I think I could probably handle that. Because you couldn't get it. You couldn't get the stuff. I mean, it was basically Jack Daniels, and that was it. And occasionally you'd find a Maker's Mark or somebody like that.
Were you out in Cupertino?
Originally in LA.
Okay.
And then I ended up leaving architecture altogether. I'm a recovering architect, I say, and ended up in technology, working for Apple and Microsoft. And
I'm a recovering insurance person, so I get it.
There you go. We moved up to the Bay Area. And I was an early Maker's Mark ambassador, and so I was very proud of that in California.
Oh, cool.
Being able to do that program when it first launched, it was really cool.
Yeah.
And, so I was a bourbon nerd,
yeah.
to your point. And I would go to, and occasionally the Costco out in California, Blanton's would pop up in Costco.
Yeah.
And I was turning friends onto it, which also, I think also was kind of maybe the foundation of my single barrel love,
Yeah.
And so I was a big bourbon nerd.
Yeah.
And then when it really got crazy, I was the guy in all the secondary and the nerds and the groups and camping out at Total Wines and all the stuff.
So, I know you own a brand now, but what was the most kind of iconic bottle that you ever sought after and enjoyed?
Well, it's a good question.
Because I feel like most people aren't like you, right? You're now living your dream out. You went and did a whole career, and now you're getting to play with bourbon every day. But you also were just a normal consumer not too far ago.
No, and I still am.
Yeah.
I still am. And Amy, who runs Nulu down here, there's a little Evergreen Liquors not far from here, and she'll come and go, hey, they got the 19-year whatever, we got to go try it. And I still get excited about it. And I was talking to some industry people like that about that, and they're like, not a lot of you guys get all nerded out about other people's products, but I still do. I keep track of whatever. So what's the most, to the point after that experience, I will say one of the things I treasure most is I've got a Four Roses Al Young signed by Al Young.
Oh, boy.
I sought him out and I said, hey, remember when we did that? Would you sign that? And then I actually had an empty bottle of it as well because I drank one, and he signed that one for me as well. So
that might be one of the best bottles of bourbon
I
that
keep
I've ever
those
tried.
in
Yeah.
my special sweat area.
Yeah, of course. That bottle is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was amazing.
50 years working for the organization, and for him to be able to pick the most exceptional Four Roses, and it's kind of like what you all do. So many recipes, so much whatever you could do, and it'd be fun. One day you could probably blend some of your barrels together, right? And
absolutely.
The possibilities endless, right? With what you all could do. That's what we need. Idea: Solera barrel. We dump it to create a house mix. I'm just giving you ideas.
Hold on, I need a pen. I guess.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were asking, what do you do with the last little
Yeah.
bit that you can't really fill a bottle with? It's hard to thieve out.
You
of the
create your
bottle.
own Whiskey Thief Infinity blend.
Well, and I can also tell you guys, if you don't know this, or if people listening don't know this, scraping the bottom of the barrel in bourbon is great.
Yeah.
Because the best whiskey ends up
At
when
the
those
bottom.
barrels start to get kind of not that full. Actually, this bottle we have right here was the end of a barrel that we had on the line over there that Amy and I got to be quite fond of. And at some point, the fill line gets so low in the barrel that the thief can't fill it.
Yeah.
So you end up with maybe 30 liters or less in the bottom of that barrel. And so then we dump it. And usually what we do is we bottle it. We'll notate what it is. We get, 24 bottles, whatever that would be.
Yeah.
No, 30 liters would be more than that. It'd be 30, 40 bottles, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then, we'll have that on
Back bar.
We'll put it as part of our flights. So we do flights here in Nulu as well.
So we were talking. Is it called idioms, like figures of speech or whatever? We were talking about like take this with a grain of salt earlier.
Yeah.
Like the bottom of the barrel.
Scraping the bottom of the barrel. Yeah.
Like
In bourbon,
some
it's
people
a good
think
thing.
that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
In bourbon, it's a good thing.
It's a great thing.
Now you know.
Yeah. Take it with a grain of salt just to cover up the bitterness.
That's right.
We learned that from Walter.
It might have a little extra black char in the bottom of the
That just means
glass.
it's good.
That means it's extra protein.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you don't like that, I mean, it can be off-putting maybe to some people because they haven't seen char in a bottle. But if you really don't like it, you can get a simple coffee filter and filter it right out.
Yeah. Who's got
We don't
time for
recommend
that?
it.
Yeah, I mean, and people are putting charcoal in toothpaste and stuff now, so like it's good. It's good.
So we don't need to brush our teeth as much, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a good source of fiber, I've been told.
We're 16 minutes into this and we're having a lot of fun, but we got to mention a few things that are happening right around this week. So St. Patrick's Day is happening the day this releases, 3/17, 3/16.
It's always the 17th.
17th. Okay. All right. I won't wear green. If someone pinches me, I will slap them. So I'm just letting them know that right straight up. I don't own any green. Like I don't. So if someone pinches me,
He only wears blue.
I do. I'm black today, actually. You can see it on video. But what are you all doing to celebrate St. Patrick's Day here downtown?
So, what are we doing? So we have so many things I've got to get straight in my head. So, we do. Well, I know at the farm we're relaunching our food that day, and here we're doing. What are we doing, Amy?
We have a silent disco.
Silent disco. That's right. Silent disco is coming, and yes, and so. Have you done that silent disco thing before?
It's where you put the headphones on.
My son did it at his school. It was like they had a party, and I was like, why?
We did sock hops when I was in elementary school.
Sock hops.
Sock hops.
Yeah, where you just wore your socks and you danced to whatever music was happy at the time. And that was Ace of Base.
Oh,
Don't
really?
turn around.
Oh my god.
I didn't want to sing any more than that because if I did, we'd get hit with some
Copyright strikes.
copyright
Oh,
issues.
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our lawyer would lose his mind.
Yeah, Scott. He's our lawyer. Did you know that? He's a lawyer.
Oh, really?
He's not a recovering lawyer. He's an active
I'm
lawyer.
active. I'm a retired barista.
You can't even sing a song. So now I'm taking over the interview, aren't I? You can't even sing a song in a podcast
That's
without.
what they say about YouTube. They will, because of their algorithm or their AI and stuff, they'll search for
DCA.
snippets of
That's
stuff.
wild. I did not know that.
They'll take stuff down. Surprisingly, we've not had anything taken down. We've done it on Instagram.
We pass
We're
we pass
100% compliant.
on YouTube. Now Instagram, if like an artist wants to biatch about something, you can get a post taken down ASAP.
Oh.
And then you get shadow banned for a couple weeks. We've been shadow banned for a couple years at this point.
Wow.
Neither here nor there on what Instagram does. But you know, I think it's really cool that you all are doing events. And one of my favorite events is hitting Nulu the same week, which is Bachfest. Or I like to call it the Goat Fest. You know, I love the goat races. I don't call it Bachfest. I call it the goat races. It's a lot of fun, a lot of food, a lot of vendors. And you all are prime position for it this year.
We have embraced the whole goat culture down here in Nulu with as fully as anybody. I think we
Goat culture. I love
goat culture. So yeah. So if for those people who aren't from here or don't know, so the Ohio River, Louisville is kind of where it is because the Ohio River passes by, and there were falls on the river, and so they built locks, and so to get your boat through the locks, you oftentimes had to get everybody off the boat, and it was a whole process of getting your boat through those locks so where you could reload and all that. So there would be people here for however long that would need things to do, and so there were people in Louisville trying to, and Deborah. Fact check me. This is right? Yeah. I'm looking at my historian.
We love our PR people.
Yes. But in any case, it's all true. Everything I'm saying is true. They would unload, and then you had like a captive audience that needed stuff to do. So there are two alleys on Market in Louisville. One north of Market called Billy Goat Strut, which actually backs up. It actually goes right through Angel's Envy.
Yeah.
And then there's Nanny Goat Strut, which goes right behind us, as well as Rabbit Hole to our
And Last Refuge
east.
to the north.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and they would race goats essentially, and they could come and bet on goats while you were waiting for your boat to be able to reboard your boat. And so it was a way to take people's money and give them a little bit of entertainment and all that kind of stuff. So they bring that back for Bachfest with the goat races. But in addition, this year they're adding a function called the 502 Micro Marathon. So a micro marathon is 502 is the area code here.
Yeah.
And so the distance, it turns out, from Nanny Goat Strut, the alley we were on, to Billy Goat Strut is 502 feet or so. And so the race course is basically one block, and it'll be 502 feet, and it's a micro marathon, and you get a bib. It's $20 to enroll. You get a bib and the whole thing, and it's going to be. And Whiskey Thief is sponsoring that because that's about as much athletic activity as this company could handle, or our fans and our customers could handle, because they drink a lot of whiskey, you know.
I think I can handle it.
I think I could too.
I want to challenge anyone who wants to run in it that day. That if you can beat me, I'll give you a pour bourbon.
If you can beat me in a foot race, yeah.
I'll give you a pour bourbon. Whatever that pour is, it's probably a Whiskey Thief.
I like it.
So you can find me a Whiskey Thief after the race.
I'm gonna tell.
And
I'm gonna tell Liam that we're signing up for a marathon. And he's like, "No, you're not. You don't run." I'm like, yeah, it's a micro marathon.
Yeah.
I think next year they should have you do that, and then they've got some
Feats of strength.
They could get some of those above ground pools that aren't that long, and you swim the distance of that, and then you get on you get on a big wheel.
We're the Iron Man.
And it'd be a micro Iron Man. I think a micro Iron Man is the next
anything's
big
better
thing.
than swimming in the Ohio River.
Yeah, that's right.
We're coming up with big ideas.
We are. And you know what? Next
all
year,
fueled by bourbon.
it was fueled by bourbon, and Whiskey Thief sponsors, and the official podcast of this is Bourbon Lens.
Do that.
We can interview the winners
Yeah.
right away.
Now that we
Excuse
got
me
our
while I
pens
buy
out.
microironman.com. Excuse me. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, every great idea starts when somebody is having a bourbon.
That's right. Exactly.
And if you don't think so, every great idea had some type of influential
Yes.
thing happening.
As somebody once said to me, no great story starts with, so I was drinking a lot of milk.
Or I was having this really good salad.
That's right. Exactly.
You know what's really funny about that is every year in the talent show, because everyone knows that at this point I played football in Kentucky. Every year in the talent show, there was a freshman that always was like, I'm going to chug a gallon of milk. And it always ended up with him yakking a gallon of milk.
It's a terrible idea.
idea.
No, it's a bad idea. But there's some lady out there. She's like a little lady. She can drink a gallon of milk. She can actually drink 3 gallons of milk.
Wow.
That is disgusting.
Does she have good ideas, though?
Doubt it.
Probably
She's
not.
got a great personality.
She's got something. She's got an iron stomach. Oh man! And you know what? Shout out to your team. Like they just brought us brand new old fashions. You got a new
Oh, yeah.
whiskey and soda. I mean, come on.
Yeah, so I guess it's a good time to talk about this experience and like what
Yes, let's talk
somebody
about it.
that's coming to Louisville, because I know we recommend this to one of our friends.
Yeah, and he had a
Sean.
blast.
Shout out to Whistling Whiskey.
Yep.
Somebody's in Louisville, and we deal with this a lot. Like people are coming in town, they're like, "What should I do? Like, where should I go?" And we're like, "Well, have you booked your tour at Michter's? Have you booked your tour at Angels Envy? Because that's what you got to do."
The
but
answer
if
is always no.
If they're coming to Nulu
Right.
or this area of downtown, how do they come and experience this experience?
You come and walk through our front door.
Yeah.
You can also go online and book it.
Yeah.
But like I mentioned, we hold back a certain amount of our capacity for walk-in customers, which we value those kinds of people. And not the non-athletic, non-planners, I
People
guess,
that
is
didn't
what I
wake up
identified
early,
as our
didn't run.
brand
Yeah.
type customer. But anyway, so how we got into this, just because you touched on that for a second, was
I'm an athlete, just by the way, and I'm a customer now, so we're good.
there you go.
He's a recovering athlete.
I am, yeah. Recovering insurance and athlete.
We the law changed. I don't know. I think it was House Bill 405, whichever one it was, maybe 3 years ago, which allowed distillers to have a second tasting room in the state of Kentucky.
Yeah.
And so we thought about it, and we weren't sure quite if that made sense for us. And we're in, the farm is located pretty much halfway between Lexington and Louisville. So if you come to Kentucky and you go east, there's a very good chance, well, you at least have the opportunity to stop at Whiskey Thief. If you go south to Bardstown, probably not. But most people are flying into Louisville, staying in Louisville, and then venturing out on these excursions. So for us, it was a chance to kind of expand our reach, grow our fan base and our customer base and all that by being in Louisville. And also, this location sort of fell into our lap. The company was closing, and I knew the owner, and he reached out to me and talked to us about doing it. It was not necessarily on the strategic plan last year. But it turned out awesome. So we signed the lease, and essentially in 10 weeks we had built the place out, and we've been open since October, I think it was 10th or October 11th.
Yeah.
So only several months. So we're still getting some of the kinks worked out, but we do pretty much the same kind of stuff that we do at the farm. So we can taste out of 5 barrels, use Whiskey Thief, fill bottles, all that. Cocktails play a much bigger role here. So we have a really great bar. We've hired some really talented people who know how to make great drinks. We do a barrel-rested old-fashioned, which you guys are drinking. So we actually make the old-fashioned right in the barrel and let it do its thing in the barrel. So really the only thing that in that glass that wasn't in the barrel is the garnish, orange and cherry, and the ice cube, and the glass, I suppose.
I hope the glass wasn't in
yes.
there.
so that's very cool. So we get to thieve the old fashioned right out of the barrel, and so we have a pretty good cocktail program that we're making better all the time. We do flights, and then I would say maybe something that wasn't in the original, as big a part of the original plan that we've come to realize is that this is an awesome place for live music. So we've added a stage. We have a beautiful baby grand piano. And we're starting to build that out, and so we're really curating. We're working with some people to help us curate really just some amazing music stuff. So now we're tasting room, but now we've added kind of listening room to our brand for the place. And so we had J.D. Shelburne here on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, exactly. And you only had
some of those were snowy.
Mega snows of Louisville, Kentucky.
Exactly.
Whatever the hell that is.
Thunder snow.
Thunder snow, yeah.
It wasn't thunder snow for the last damn time, Scott. Quit saying that. Thunder snow is cool.
I did experience thunder snow in Chicago.
See, thunder snow is a really epic event. We did not get that. I was hoping we would. We didn't.
We did not. Yes.
I'm really pissed off about it.
I don't want any more snow ever.
Well,
or thunder. Oh,
I would move south, but they got.
Well, hey, Thunder Over Louisville's coming soon.
Oh, Thunder Over Louisville. That's right. Yeah.
We're gonna do a Thunder Over Louisville event here at Whiskey
Good
Thief.
Thunder. We are, I think. Yeah.
Let's do it. I'm in. Sign me up. I'm here. Kentucky, hey, the Derby is upon us.
What?
That's crazy, isn't it? It is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing. Now that you're in downtown Louisville, you got to think about Derby time.
I know.
It's a whole new cycle of people.
I know.
So is this place open 7 days a week?
7 days a week. Yep.
Love it.
Yeah.
We close a little bit earlier on Sunday through Wednesday.
Yeah.
But and then we're open pretty late. So to answer your question, bringing this all the way full circle, when you tell people to go to do the Mictors and go to do the Bardstown Bourbon companies and the Angels Living in the Rabbit Hole, and I would encourage them to do all of those things. Yeah. Most of those places are closing earlier than we are. So go do your Angels Envy thing. We love it. They're awesome partners of ours. And then come down here and
come see us.
Taste the whiskey uncut.
But one of the other interesting things is, as we do this podcast, there's people right behind us enjoying this experience right now.
You can hear them probably, yeah.
There's probably 20 people thieving from a barrel right now, which is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Let's
go. Trying to figure out
how to thieve a barrel.
On the,
So one of the other things that is really unique to you all is you aren't distributing, right? Either you buy it here, you buy it at the farm, or you can get it online.
Yeah. The online is kind of a newer
thing, right?
Thing for us, and we're expanding that a little bit because so that's a big part of the unknown thing is people, especially I think in Kentucky, they go, well, I've never seen you at Kroger or Total Wine or wherever, and it's because we're not there, And so we have exclusive distribution rights in this room and on our 127 acres out in Frankfurt. But everything we've sold to date has been from us to the consumer, the person who's going to enjoy it. And so, and that's a big part of what we do, and that's a big part of how we approach the challenges of doing a differentiated product. Yep. And it's great because we end up with like lots of loyal people, but they're usually in other places, so that they plan trips back and that sort of thing. And we are working on some projects. I can drop some scoop on one of them, which is we're working on a thing called the Guild, which is essentially a bottle club. We're calling it not just a bottle club, because I think we're going to try to make it more of an experience. Yeah. Some of the whiskey thief experience to people's places. So we'll probably do that 4 times a year to start. You subscribe, opt in if you want the release, whatever it is, as well as some of the other fun stuff we're going to do. I think the idea would be no 2 boxes arrive at your house that are the same. There are always some little different twist to it. And so that's going to be coming out in 2025, God willing. And so that's been a very word of mouth kind of thing right now. So we're word of mouthing it to your podcast here at this point. But it will appear on our website here soon, so people can go and just say, yes, I want to know more about it. We're kind of at that phase of that. Yeah. And some other kind of strategies like that to be able to, without going full distribution where you're giving away your autonomy and your money and your freedom to distributors who I'm sure are very delightful people and they're very nice and I like them a lot. But we really love having that one-to-one relationship with our customer, which everybody strives for, but we actually literally every bottle has been sold from us to the consumer, which I think is a really unique part of who we are.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like that's so unique.
Well, it's like a bottle sells on a liquor store shelf. It's like, what do they do with that bottle after? Maybe they'll take a picture and post it on social media, but like
goes into the void.
Yeah, they're gonna take a picture of them thieving that bottle from a barrel, and then post it.
Yeah,
something like that.
Or you blow it up and put it in your house. Lauren was talking about putting a picture of Taylor Swift in. I was like, only if I can put a picture of any of the bottles of bourbon. Yeah, it's a thing. I told her if she wants me to be angry while I'm lifting, then sure. She can put a picture of Taylor Swift in the weight room.
Such a millennial.
She's an 80s baby too. I mean, come on. Gotta just, anywho.
She likes football.
Nah, she likes Travis Kelce. She likes bad football because Kansas City got slapped this year.
Oh my goodness, that game was amazing.
It was amazing.
If you just cross the 50-yard line, that'd be great.
I mean, it would have made a more interesting Super Bowl, but it was not. But what's really exciting is you all are just starting, right? Like you all are just kind of getting your sea legs of like what you want to do and how you want to do it, especially down here.
For sure, down here, yeah.
Which I think is a lot of fun.
We are still. I mean, yeah, even though it's a 12-year-old.
But it's 4 years for you.
Well, right.
Right, and you, at 4 years, now you have your teeth fully into it.
Yes. The experience has definitely changed in the last 4 years because that's what I did. So when I was working in technology, that's what I was doing, was helping. I worked at Apple and Microsoft, and I was involved in the experience part of those companies, consumer experience primarily. So the consumer experience, but the cool thing for me is that I didn't have to climb the aged spirit mountain that every other new brand new distiller who's making their own whiskey has to do. Like, hey, try our Con Moonshine for 4 years until you have a 4-year-old bourbon thing. By the way, we have awesome Con Moonshine out at the farm. But regardless, but that's how we figured out. Well, not me because I wasn't there, but Ross, the founder and former owner, figured out how to bridge that gap while his whiskey aged. Yeah. And every new distillery has to solve that problem, and whether it's gin or whatever they do.
Don't worry, we're gonna have to try some gin after this podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we did gin much later than once we already had aged whiskeys.
I think it's a good point too, because people might not realize when you come to whiskey, you can try 6, 7, 8-year-old bourbon. Like that's what you're
not trying young stuff.
Like,
No.
you're pulling out of the barrel 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old bourbon, and it's always changing.
That's right.
So it's like you're not pulling young.
You're not pulling 2-year bourbon. You're not pulling straight. You're pulling Kentucky Straight bourbon whiskey. Like, you're pulling the full. We just went over this. If you want to go back and listen to last week's episode with Burning Lovers, like, they've got medals behind this, right?
Yeah.
They're just not pulling the green beret. They do have a bottle and bond. You can find it, but they're not pulling the green beret out. But they got the serviceman, Kentucky Straight bourbon whiskey.
Yeah.
And that's pretty damn good.
Well, I don't know if you saw our little trophy case up at the front, but
It's got a lot.
We don't ever tell anybody that we win awards. I don't know why we don't do that, but we should. But
Deborah?
you can see him over there. But anyway, but no, and the reason if you see a 5-year-old bourbon on our line of tasting is because we tasted it and we thought it was awesome in 5 years. And so, sometimes people go, really? That's like 7? That's best you got 8?
That's pretty damn good.
That's the sweet spot for me. That's like killer.
I mean, if you give me
Sure.
7 to 10-year-old bourbon,
I'll chase the 15-year-old Pat, whatever. But are they really better than the Lobby or the younger ones? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Really 7 times more expensive.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Are they worth, your 15-year Pappy going for $1 million a barrel? Doubt it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
Don't get me wrong, 15-year Pappy.
I mean, it's phenomenal. But, yeah, I'm with it. But Whiskey Thief doing some damn good things. And we're excited because this isn't going to be just a one-off podcast. Later this year, we're going to figure this out. We're going to be out at the farm. We're going to do another podcast. We're going to experience all 120 acres. I'm going to walk the majority of it. It's going to be longer than
I'm in shape now that I've run
the micro marathon. Yeah, exactly. So make sure.
Training.
Yeah, exactly.
Ready to go.
So make sure you come back and listen to the next episode, as my man Dr. Dre would say, the next episode, because it's going to be fun to go out to the farm and experience really what you are doing there and understand the distillation process. So, Walter, happy birthday again.
Hey, thanks.
Thank you for joining us, and thanks everybody for joining us. Make sure you check out bourbonlens.com because we're going to have some special opportunities for Bachfest. I'm going to be here. Scott says he's going to sign up. Believe it when I see it. But we're going to be here for Bachfest on the 22nd of March. Make sure you're in downtown Louisville. It's going to be great. Make sure you check out Whiskey Thief. Beer's fine.
Podcasting on that day?
No, I'm going to come here.
Oh, you're going to come here?
I'm going to come here.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to hang out with you.
Excellent.
Because I love bourbon versus beer.
I will be here.
Exactly. So make sure you come and check out Walter too. He'll be here as well. Come out, check out Whiskey Thief Distilling Company on Bachfest 322. It's going to be a fun Saturday. Until next time, cheers.